Would you believe that these brake master cylinders of a motorcycle are 8.5 years old? We have transformed and restored this from this, beaten down, gunked up and scratched all over, to this, sparkly, shiny and ready for the next adventure. Want to know how I did it? Let's go. Welcome to Room Brothers, to the next episode of our Suzuki Gixxer series, where we are customizing, modifying and restoring an 8-year-old 150cc motorcycle and trying to bring it to 2026 standards. If you guys haven't checked out this project yet, there are already dedicated episodes on each area like fuel tank restoration, fuel system as in carburetor or fuel injection, air intake system, silencer restoration, maintaining or restoring your tank shrouds and side fairings, then maintaining or restoring your mud flaps or mud guards, foot peg restoration, and a lot more of episodes to come. As soon as I work on them, I'll begin to release them as separate episodes, where I have dedicated more than 2 to 3 episodes specifically for each area. Links up here in the description and on my playlist in my channel. So highly recommend to check it out. In the previous episode, I showed you its disassembly and inspection. In this one, we're gonna restore these, and in the next episode, we're gonna rebuild it back together. The idea behind these dedicated episodes is not to gain views or subscribers, but rather to build such an automotive community which has both skills and knowledge when it comes to their machines, so that anybody who decides to work on the brake master cylinders of your motorcycle can simply watch these episodes and do so. I want to keep this episode pretty short and precise to the point. So let me show you from the beginning how I do it step by step. So let's go. This is how the front and rear brake master cylinders are looking like before we begin to work on them. All grimy and dirty, as you can see. Let's see how these things turn out at the end. Each component here needs special care, as some of it is covered in dirt, some in rust, and some are literally decaying apart. So we have to take care of each one of it. First, let's give them a thorough wash. Make sure you get to each nook and cranny. Gave all the bolts and fasteners a nice acid wash and they cleaned out pretty good. Let's begin to restore every nut, screw and washer of the rear master cylinder.
One eternity later.
Prepped the master cylinder casing, as you can see here, before I begin to paint it. These turned out to be better than expected. The front master cylinder cleaned out good and the paint is not that bad. But to maintain the uniformity, I am going to paint it anyways with the rest of the parts. So let's start by stripping out the old paint. Start removing all the old paint. One thing you guys need to remember before you begin to paint is the better you prepare each and every part, the better the paint is going to turn out in the end.
2,000 years later.
Give each and every part a thorough and nice wash and let it dry out. To reach to this level of prep before the paint, you need some elbow grease and definitely some patience. Just follow the procedures that are shown here and you will definitely get there. It's not rocket science. Then begin to mask off every nook and cranny that doesn't need paint, like the screw threads and so on. Let's apply the primer first. I like to use high quality products on any of my machines simply because of the fact that we don't get to paint our motorcycles or cars on every service. So why use cheap products and regret it later? Let the primer dry for 30 minutes. Now let's apply the base coat. The key to get a uniform finish is to have nice and smooth hand motions. Then let it dry for 30 minutes. Now let's apply the second coat. Let it dry for 30 minutes. And then apply the clear coat in the same fashion as shown. These are all the screws and fasteners and the rear master cylinder that is being painted in the first batch. Now let's move on to the front master cylinder and the rest of the parts. Again, first goes the primer. Remember the steady hand movements and the proper distance. Let the primer dry for 30 minutes. Before you begin to paint, inspect the finish of the primer on each and every part. And if any correction is needed, do it right now. And once you ensure that everything is good, let's move on to the base coat. Let it dry for 30 minutes. Now let's apply the second coat. Let it dry for 30 minutes. Now let's apply the clear coat. I like to leave out these parts for 24 hours to 48 hours for the paint to fully cure. Now these parts would last much longer when it compared to any part that is straight out of the factory because of the primer, 2 coats and the clear coat that we have applied, which is far more superior than any manufacturer would use on the machine. I'm sure you would agree when you look at the final result. I'm sure you guys have thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and in the next episode we're gonna rebuild it back together, and I don't want you to miss it. Until then, see you soon. Peace.